Okay, welcome to the lesson today. This is the last of a series of lessons which I'm using to explain reporting verbs to my students. So these are the verbs we're looking at today because we're looking at the structure verb plus object, me, you, he, him, them, plus to plus infinitive. So all of these verbs take this structure, verb plus object plus to plus infinitive. We can tell someone to do something, and that's how I usually write it, by the way. I usually write the verbs in class like that, because then it tells you how to use the verb. So one thing it doesn't tell you, though, is it doesn't tell you if you can use that. And so I put that at the end and I tick it or cross it. So you can use that with tell. I told him not to smoke in my kitchen. I told him that he couldn't smoke in the kitchen. So that and then another clause is okay with tell. However, it's not okay with ask. We still use the same verb plus object plus to plus infinitive. I asked him to resign, to quit, to leave his job. So object plus to plus infinitive. But we cannot say I asked him that he would resign or something like this. It's not possible. You can't use that with ask. Next one is advise. He advised me not to tell anyone. This is always used in the same way, plus subject plus to plus infinitive. And with that, I've forgotten to write it here, it is okay in some sentences. He advised me that it was a bad idea. He advised me that my plan wouldn't work. Something like that. So yeah, that is okay with advise. Advise has a very similar meaning to suggest and recommend, but suggest and recommend are gerunds. They can also use that, but they're gerund verbs. They're not plus object plus to plus infinitive. Okay, next verb is warn. He warned me to keep quiet. Remember, if we want to make these negative, we just add a not. By the way, he warned me not to keep quiet. So if you want to make it negative, remember to put the not before the to plus infinitive. And yes, we can use that. He warned me that, so that always goes after the object. He warned me that I shouldn't walk on my own late at night in this part of town. Okay, invite. We can't use that with invite. We can only use object and to plus infinitive. They invited us to have dinner. Okay. Remind. Again, he reminded me to pay my bills, and we can use that. He reminded me that I should pay my bills. Okay, I've put persuade and convince together because they're very, very, very similar. They're not exactly the same because we say something like this, I was convinced, and it means I was sure, but we wouldn't say I was persuaded. I was sure. So I prefer convince in that passive construction. I was convinced, and it means I was certain, 100%. Anyway, they both use object plus to plus infinitive. We persuaded them that it was a bad idea. We convinced them that it was a bad idea. So we can use that. But if you convince someone or persuade someone to do something, then you give them an idea and or you try to talk someone into something. There's a good phrasal verb which is the same as persuade and convince. Let's write it here above persuade and convince. Talk someone into something. Means it's a phrasal verb which means the same as persuade and convince. So we persuaded them to go swimming. We convinced them to go swimming. We talked them into swimming. And the last one I want to talk about today, and it's not possible to use that, is encourage. Encourage just means give someone good words or compliments, or just well done, you're doing better, and it makes them work harder, or it makes them do something desirable. So all teachers encourage their students to work harder. All teachers encourage their students to learn the vocabulary. All teachers encourage their students to study the grammar. So encourage someone, your students, to do something. and you cannot encourage that. Okay, I hope that's clear for the last episode of Reporting Verbs. People ask me, how can I learn these verbs? I recommend watching TV shows and reading books as well, and retelling the stories using the reporting verbs, because then you will need to use reported speech. And I really recommend IT Crowd as a nice comedy to start with for the intermediate levels. You should understand 60-70% of the whole sentences. There might be some parts you don't understand, but I recommend you watch that show and retell the show to your teacher. And please try the ebooks which I have written for this show. They're free. They're not at any price. They're just completely free for download. You can learn some of the vocabulary and then retell the story to your teacher and practice these reporting verbs. Okay, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, under the video, please. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this lesson and would like to receive more over the next few weeks. Here are some videos on phrasal verbs, auxiliary verbs, tenses, and verb forms as well, like gerunds and 2+ infinitive. Please watch them and try the quizzes below the videos, and I hope that you improve.